Okay, moving on now. In your latest paper, you make the case that even though there are experts with long experience in ammonia refrigeration, these have little or no influence on the policy process because they do not interact frequently with governmental safety experts, code authorities, insurance companies, and fire departments. So how do you see the way forward in dealing with these issues? I mean, you've been involved in these discussions, but you're one of the few, you would argue.
The difficulty is to find people who can devote their time to this.
Mm-hmm.
They need fairly good language understanding and also know to read and cross-check reference with other standards in society. Yes. Because when I started with standards in 1965, it's a long time ago, it was much easier to read the Swedish standard, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Today it's very complicated. You have a long list of references, and these are also changing currently.
Okay.
And you need persons from different countries, because now we are not only one country in Europe. We want others to be involved to bring their experiences also to our work.
Mm-hmm.
You need patience and you need financing of these persons to travel and time to do a proper job. Many of these experienced are retired persons without financial support.
Yeah. So making it very much harder. But how do you see the internet playing a role there?
It has been a fantastic improvement. We get information very quick from anything that happens all over the world. Mm-hmm. And I normally say that if there is a release or in US, we smell it in Europe the next day through the medias.
Yeah.
And it goes so fast. And we are a network of people who change information. Yes, that's right.
Constantly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also the industry is getting more complex, and it's very difficult to cover all applications today, from small to large systems, synthetic refrigerants, naturals, flammables, indirect systems, etc. It's getting very complex, so I concentrate on industrial and natural refrigerants.
Sure.
I avoid to have an opinion about others, but they have also the right to be looked after in a proper way.
So now if we look a little bit about the future of ammonia as a refrigerant, I mean that is one of the reasons why when we launched Ammonia 21, and the point of choosing 21 was that if we're going to have a 22nd century, we need to have a 21st century that is sustainable, and we believe that ammonia has a role to play in that century of sustainability. So I mean, if we look forward in time, how do you see ammonia's role as a refrigerant? Do you see a future that is safe?
Absolutely. We have an experience in our society. We have a responsibility to make sure that when we design a pressure vessel or whatever it is, we do it following relevant legal documents like pressure directive, machine directive, etc. And I'm not worried about such items in the plant that they should burst or fail. And we have to just obey the codes and the legal documents. The weak link is always the irrational human being, and especially those who don't respect ammonia. Mm-hmm. We can't avoid that. That is a human fact.
So that's why we need to also involve much more training.
Yes, training, and it's a very low investment, and you get a lot of
payback.
That's right.
Okay.
Because society cannot afford not to use ammonia in refrigeration because there is no alternative, and there won't be any alternative. Ammonia is a natural substance of a very simple few molecules, small molecules.
Thank you. Final question for the interview today. Ammonia's high latent heat resulting in low liquid fluid flow rate, that's a mouthful, has traditionally hindered its use for smaller refrigerating capacities. So however, in the future it's expected that new technology will enable the use of ammonia also in small systems, and some even today have argued that this is actually a market opportunity for the ammonia industry to actually go into different markets with smaller systems. Maybe you could you single out some examples of this or some technical innovations or projects that you are aware of that you believe could give ammonia a role in smaller systems in the future?
There is a lot of investigations going on in small channel heat exchangers. We have seen the introduction of plate heat exchangers in our industry, which has reduced the charges tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
We are now talking a very small charges per performance of a system. The difficulty has been that small systems is also a competition with existing synthetic
Sure.
refrigerants, and there you have all production of all components.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't been very interesting to make components for ammonia which needs slightly other compatible materials. I think that's the problem. But there is definitely a lot of applications where ammonia can be used, because small charges of some 100 grams, for instance, is not at all dangerous. You can never harm any person with such a charge. You can't ignite it, it just smells.
Okay.
And the smell is an advantage because that gives you the information if something is wrong.
Yes.
In the future, the confinement of system will be the biggest problem. We can't handle leaks.
Mm-hmm.
And an ammonia system you will always look after because you smell it and then you fix the leaks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Anders.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure to interview you
Yeah,
today.
yeah, I
Thank
hope
you.
it.